Welcome back to FPL Spad, your best place to find FPL content for the 23-24 season. My name is Spad. Today, I'm going to share with you a wildcard team for game week 7, where two teams have played each other to get a double game week. Let's see if any of those players can make this team. If you like my content, please like, subscribe to my channel for future FPL content. Now let me share with you this wildcard team. So for this wildcard team for game week 7, first up, the keeper. Areola in goal at 4.2 million. His first game up is against Sheffield United at home with a predicted points of 4.2. Then to home to Newcastle again at 3.5. Then away to Villa at 3.4. Then home to Everton at 3.9. His predicted points are decent in my opinion. Could be better, but you could rotate with Matt Turner for the difficult game weeks, in my opinion, where he's cost only 4 million. So it's a perfect opportunity to have two keepers in your team. In my opinion, I've not got for Kimiskas, the Luton keeper. There's no point in bringing in a keeper for one game week and then using a transfer down the line to take him out. So in my opinion, you should go with Areola. He's got decent predicted points. West Ham have been playing good, and he has nailed down his keeper position now. Now for the first defender, Trippier. He was in the wildcard team last week as well. Made a bunch of points, 18 points in the last game, getting 3 assists, and getting all 3 bonus points. His price has gone up to 6.6 now, and they got a very good game against Burnley at home, where he's got predicted points of 5.1. Then away to West Ham at 4.1, then home to Crystal Palace at 5.1, then away to Wolves at 4.5. He's made a total 31 points so far. His ownership has jumped now to 35%, nearly hitting 36. Most top popular transfers coming in the last 2 game weeks because of the points haul he's showing and the good fixture list that Newcastle have coming up, where you have to get in at least 1 or 2 Newcastle defenders into your team as soon as possible with the fixture list they got lined up. So in my opinion, Trippier has to be one of your main defenders in your team. Now for the second defender, I have put up Kabul again, same as last week. Reason being, I think he's got potential for attacking returns in the 2 games that he has against Everton and Burnley at home. He's only cost 4 million, so you can have him on your bench after this game week finishes as well. And maybe bring him into some games where they got easier games than normal. His predicted points for both those double game weeks is 5.6 accumulated. Not that best, but AI most times can be wrong. So hopefully AI is wrong and he is the best option to bring in for 4 million for a Luton defender to double up on the points. Even after the double game week, his predicted points at 2.8 against Tottenham at home. You surely won't have him for that. You might have him for Nottingham Forest away at 2.6, where they're probably looking to get some points maybe. So far, he's only made 10 points. His ownership is pretty low at 5.7. If you look at the graph on the left, you probably see that he's able to convert big chances. So let's see what else he can do in the next coming 2 game weeks. Next up, I've gone for Dan Burn again, which I recommended last week as well. I didn't take my own recommendation and I went for Fabian Shea instead and didn't get the extra points that Dan Burn and Botman did. At the moment of time of recording this, they're saying Dan Burn was unwell for the game that against the Carling Cup game they played against United, Man City, and Botman picked up a slight injury, so he's at the moment yellow on FPL. But in my opinion, they'll all be fit to play, because Eddie Howe has a history of making injuries out there when there doesn't really exist. Maybe to fool the opposite manager when nobody believed him in the first place. In my opinion, I've gone with Dan Burn. You can change Botman if you want. But Dan Burn, in my opinion, as he's on the wings, has got a better chance of creating goals for Newcastle. His price has not gone up yet, so he could be a lucrative option where his price can go up. He's valued at 4.5 million. Home game against Burnley, where his predicted makes 4.4. Away at West Ham at 3.4. Home to Crystal Palace at 4.2. Then away to Wolves at 3.8. He's made a total of 23 points so far. His ownership is very low at 4.2%. In my opinion, if you haven't already got Botman, then you should be going in for Dan Burn as a cheaper option, especially when Botman has got a yellow on him at the moment, where there's a slight chance he might not play on the weekend. So for the first midfielder up, yet again, I've gone with Salah in your team. He produced another 10 points last weekend as well. hard game up against Tottenham away. His 50 points for that is still good at 6.4. Then away to Brighton at 6.1. Those are the hardest games that Liverpool have to face in the next coming game weeks. Because after that, they've got Everton at home, predicted points at 7.4. Then Nottingham Forest away at home again, at 7.6. He's accumulated 43 points so far. His ownership is at 30%. Not the highest, but it's good enough for a lot of people to have them in this team. If you can balance your team correctly, you should be able to get Salah and Haaland into your team. But then again, it's all down to personal preference because you want to spread your money across your team. But in my opinion, Salah, this is one of the games he's got coming up, and the way he's been playing is a must in my opinion now. And I'll be looking to bring him in somehow into my team. Next up, we have Rashford. His price is still at 8.9. It hasn't dropped any further or gone up. Next game up is a Crystal Palace at home, with predicted points at 5.4. Then Brentford at home at 5.4 again. Then Sheffield United away at 5.4 as well. And then Man City at home at 4.8. He's made total 24 points so far. He's been hit and miss every other game week. Hopefully, these coming games that they got coming up, he hits high numbers and makes a return for my investment and for my loyalty of keeping him in the team. Because I can easily take him out and bring in other players in at similar value. His ownership is at 30% as well. If you look at the graph, he takes quite a lot of shots, gets a lot of shots in the boxes as well. So he should be getting more goals than what he has already. So hopefully he does get more goals in the next 3 game weeks. So in my opinion, he should be in your team. Now for the third midfielder, I've gone with Gordon because you have to balance your team somehow. At 5.6 million, they got a game against Burnley at home, where his predicted points are 5. Away to West Ham, 4.3. Home to Crystal Palace at 4.7. Then away to Wolves at 4.5. He's made a total of 32 points right now. And that is pretty good numbers for someone that only costs 5.6 million. His ownership is at low 4%. In my opinion, he's a big differential with Harvey Barnes out injured currently. So he'll be getting a lot more game time in the coming game weeks. So in my opinion, you should be bringing him in ASAP. And most people will bring him in to make room for Salah to come in as well. Because it will free up a lot of money at 5.6 million. So in my opinion, a big differential to bring into your team. That's why he's in this wildcard team. Next up, for the fourth midfielder, we have Mbubu. He costs 6.9 million. Next game up is Forest away at 5.1. Then away to United at 4.6. Then home to Burnley at 5.4. Then away to Chelsea at 4.6. He's made a total of 36 points so far. His ownership is at 30%, which I think is leveling out now because he's blanked the last 2 game weeks where he hasn't returned anything. He didn't return anything in the Carling Cup game yesterday either, which I was attending. It was a good game. Brentford should have got more goals on target. And Mbubu had a chance as well. We still had a chance. And we should have got something from that game. At least got a goal in that game, but we didn't. Hopefully, things turn around and Brentford are back on the track and he is getting the goals. Main reason why he's in this team is because he's cheap already and most people already have him in their team and won't be looking to take him out just yet. That's why he's in this team, because to accommodate everyone else in your team as well. Because most people will have him in their team or someone a close price range where they want to do a transfer in. In my opinion, he's a great fourth choice for the time being, but things can change very fast in an instant. Now for the first striker, like always, Haaland. Still at 14.1 million. Got away game at Wolves, predicted points 8.7. Then Arsenal away, hard game at 7.7. Then at home to Brighton at 9. And then away to United at 8.1. There are some hard fixtures coming up, but you can't doubt Haaland. He can easily get a brace in any of those games because he's that good. His points so far are 51 points he's made. The highest, I think, so far in FPL. His ownership is at 92.4%. Should only increase and not go down. Only way it will go down if he gets injured. And he has to be in your team. And most likely captain for this team week as well. Because they got away games at Wolves. You could go with Salah, which is a gamble at Tottenham. But in my opinion, you should go with Haaland. The next striker we have up is Darwin Núñez at 7.4 million. Next game up is Tottenham away, predicted points at 3.5. Brighton away at 3.3. Everton at home at 4. Then Nottingham Forest at home at 4.2. He's made a total 28 points so far. He always gets a return for the minutes that he plays. His ownership is at 12% at the moment. Not the best. So it's a slight differential in my opinion. Reason being, I reckon his predicted points are so low because AI does not think it will get the minutes it required to get more points. In my opinion, he has nailed down his position and he will get more points than what AI has predicted. So in my opinion, he's a great second choice striker to have next to Haaland, as right now Liverpool are firing and getting 3 goals per game, so you're bound to get at least 1 goal from him. Next up, we have Julian Alvarez at 7 million. Wolves away. Predicted points 4.7. Arsenal away again at 4.4. Then home to Brighton at 4.9. Then away to United at 4.5. He's made a total 38 points so far. Was one of the most transferred in players last game week. And he only made 1 point because Rodri got sent off, meaning Alvarez had to come off earlier than expected, a lot earlier than expected. And a lot of people were disappointed because they didn't get the return that they wanted. In my opinion, he's a nailed-on star for Man City, as De Bruyne is still injured. His ownership is at 31%. I don't expect it to keep to increase this week again, as a lot of people have lost faith in the 1 point that he only made last game week when they brought him in. People brought him in, and people that don't have him are happy that they didn't bring him in. So it's 50-50 people out there. But in my opinion, he should be in your team if you already have him, because you've made a lot of profit on him and his price will not go down anytime soon. So you should be keeping him in your team. In my opinion, he's the third best striker to have in a 3-4-3 lineup. On the bench, like I said earlier, we have Matt Turner in goal at 4 million. His next game is Brentford at home. Predicted points at 3.6. Maybe not play him that game and have Oriol instead with the player Sheffield United. Then we have Cash, who will be rotated straight back to the team for Kabul the next following game weeks, because this week they got Brian at home with predicted points are 3.6. And then we have another cheap option in 3.9 for Lamptey, just to have on the bench. He might get some game time and hopefully don't drop his price any further. His predicted points is 1.1, which is to be expected. And then finally, for midfielder, going for the very cheap option at 4.4 million, Pelestri for United, because he's got a decent chance of playing games. So he might make some points, but hopefully he just doesn't go down in price. And hopefully he might go up in price. You never know, but just hoping he don't go down in price so you don't lose any money on a player that you're not using. Now let's review this team. In my opinion, it's a solid team, and if you want to make some tweaks, the only places you should make tweaks in my opinion, is maybe Gordon and Mbubu. Both have like chances of getting changed for different players around the same price range. You've got Mitomo, March, Ezra. There's quite a few choices around that price range where you can change for. Then up front, in my opinion, Nunes is a guaranteed starter from Liverpool right now, so he should be in your team. If you don't agree with Nunes, then there's other options out there as well. You could go for Antonio for West Ham. In my opinion, you should avoid him. You go for Villa at Watkins, who have got great sort of fixtures lined up coming up in the next coming game weeks. So that is another option for you guys. In defense, the only person you probably could change is Kabul and go for a different cheap option, or different Luton defender or Burnley defender, which is up to your own choice. But in my opinion, everyone else in that team is a great wildcard pick for the coming game weeks ahead. The 2 Newcastle defenders, Salah, Rashford with the fixture list Man United have lined up, Haaland, Alvarez have to be in your team. And that is a wildcard team for game week 7. So that's it for this wildcard team for game week 7. I hope you enjoyed it and found it interesting and got some tips off it for your wildcard teams or the transfers that you're looking to do. I might have mispronounced the player names, but I hope you understood what I meant. If you like the content that I make, please like and subscribe to my channel for more FPL content in the future. Thank you again for watching my videos. See you next time. See ya!